But yeah, it's gut check time for this team. I talked about it a little bit last week that like this is where we're heading. Like take care of business, and you're going to be in October. And they didn't do that at all last week, and that's a lot of it is on the bats. So they put themselves in a very precarious position. Now they have a little bit of cushion, but it ain't much. So it is what this team is made of. Like what is this team made of? Are they going to be able to do what felt impossible back in March when we talked? Like I went back and listened to our episode, and I said, like, look, them winning 80 games is not like it's a low percentile outcome, but it's certainly on the board. But I mean, we're at 83 wins now.
Thanks for listening to KC Sports Network, proudly presented by Emprise Bank. If you're thinking about starting a business or know someone who is, check out Emprise Bank's SBA loans. It's always good to know your options, and they can be your partner in possible.
Back like we never left the Kansas City Royals, back in the win column. We are back in the studio to talk about it. Jordan Foote, Joel Penfield, Josh Keiser. It's a brand new One Royal Way. Guys, good things to talk about. Well, I guess a little bit of everything. Mostly bad, but a little bit of good. We'll start with Joel first. How's it going, man?
Doing good, man. We're recording after the Royals' extra innings win on Tuesday. Got off the schneid. 5 games left. Magic number is at 5. Could go down to 4 if Minnesota loses tonight as well. Obviously, audio listeners, you will know the results of that. We'll know as we're going. But, I mean, it was a tough week. But, I mean, if they're able to get rolling after this down the stretch, it's a tight race between a bunch of AL Central teams for those final 2 wildcard spots. So we got a lot to talk about, but we'll see how it goes. Josh, how are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic now that my friend the Beer Bat has broken all curses that belong to the Kansas City Royals. The KC Beer Bat curse, or I guess blessing, I don't know what it is now, but the vibes are great. I'm 2 Beer Bats deep now that we've secured the W for that Royals win. So the vibes are great. So therefore I am great. Jordan, how are you doing tonight, sir?
I'm good. Speaking of blessings, if the listeners would like a chance to win an extra $500, they can go to bluewirepods.com/survey and complete the Blue Wire audience survey about you and your listening habits for a chance to win a $500 gift card. The survey is going to create a better advertising experience for audiences. In turn, it's going to help this show. bluewirepods.com/survey, where all you have to do is answer some simple questions for a chance to win $500. Make sure to read the full terms and the disclaimer, plus complete that survey for a chance to win. bluewirepods.com/survey. The link is also in the show notes of the episode. With all of that out of the way, man, the Royals won a game, and the show, I think, is a lot easier to do when they do that. They should do that more often for the sake of this program here and for the sake of people who tune in. So I'm doing well. Recapping, we have the doc set up that we do before every show. We had 0-5 since the last episode. We could add a win to that column. I don't even have individual performances this time that stood out to me. I think that when you don't score any runs over the weekend, you have one in the opener against San Fran, lose a couple somewhat close games against Detroit to close out that series. Nothing jumped out to me, I think, and that's simultaneously a testament to me not diving into the numbers, knowing that they were bad games, and also they just were losses. You can only take so much away from them in a stretch that when you lose 7 games twice in a row in the month of September, Josh, it's never really a good thing.
Yeah, all last week was a very busy week. My daughter had a lot of softball last week, so I didn't get to watch a lot of the games, and thankfully, because there wasn't much to watch at all. But they only lost 5 games, so that's a good thing considering they had a couple off days there that were sprinkled in. But not a lot to take from. I mean, the starters were pretty good. There was a good Reagan start in there. We had a decent Lugo start. Walker had a pretty solid start. Singer got roughed up. Alec Marsh was not very good, but the bullpen had a very good week. 18 1/3 innings pitched, 4 earned runs. 196 ERA, and it wasn't fool's gold because the FIP was 202. The K to walk ratio was a 30.4% difference, which is huge, especially considering how bad this bullpen has been all year long. Been super vulnerable. one of the biggest weaknesses in this team so far this year. Had a great week in a week that they really needed it, despite the offensive struggles, which we're going to definitely talk about later. But particularly Lynch had a great week. Bubic, Zerpa, Cruz, and Schreiber, San Long all had great weeks. A lot of those guys went tonight and also held the national scoreless as well. So building kind of some momentum going into a potential postseason run. We'll see where we are in a few days, but it was pretty encouraging to see this bullpen hit their stride. And like we've talked about before, we think that there could be strengthening to be had with Lorenzen and Marsh kind of adding a little bit to that bullpen as well. So they're kind of hitting their stride, making it a tougher decision on who makes the potential postseason roster and who doesn't. But it was just good to see one of the bigger weaknesses have a solid week despite a 0-5 week.
I just want to echo Cole Reagan's. He actually, I mean, if you want to include tonight as well, since we're post-game on Tuesday, he went 6 shutty tonight, only 7 innings, 1-run ball against Detroit on the 17th. 12 strikeouts in those 13 innings, only scattered 7 hits. Walks hurt him a little bit, but obviously he was able to get out of it. Pitched around a lot of stuff with some strikeouts, especially in that Detroit game. So for a guy that's, you're probably going to throw in game 1 or 2 of a playoff series, that was big time to see from him. Seth Lugo had an outing where I believe he went 7 innings, 2 runs on Sunday of the Giants series. Again, kind of just doing what Seth Lugo has done all year. He hit over the 200 inning mark and continues to pitch incredibly well. He had that lull there for a little bit when you're right around that career innings mark, around 160 innings, and then had just picked up right where he left off. It has been awesome for this team. Again, you're going to give him the ball in a playoff series. So for the pitching staff as a whole to continue to do this, again, like if the bats are able to wake up, and tonight, even if it wasn't awesome, like you scratch a run across, you scatter a bunch of hits, like sometimes they just needed the dam to break after 27 consecutive scoreless innings. If they're able to scratch a few across, the starting staff is going to continue to do work, and then you have your circle of trust that you can go to, between Bubic and Long. I think Schreiber has kind of worked his way back in there to some degree, and then obviously Lucas Ursig, who locked it down tonight in the 10th. So just got to scratch a few across. They got to get the bats figured out, because the runners in scoring position stuff was like the stuff of nightmares. And it was a combination of some poor at-bats, some poor execution in situational hitting, and some horrible batted ball luck. I mean, it wasn't everything. It wasn't just a bunch of poor at-bats. Like you could look at tonight, first inning, bases loaded, nobody out. Yuli Gurriel hits the ball 105 miles an hour. Looked like it was going to get into the outfield for 2 runs, and the shortstop cleared it. Maybe 3 if it kept slicing. Shortstop makes a heck of a play on lunging at it backhand, and picks off Bobby at second because he was in the middle. Like even if he froze, like you're supposed to on a line drive, he would have gotten thrown out anyway. So just some like rotten luck there in addition to some poor execution. So it was a combination of everything. Maybe getting to 1 run across like they did, a 50 hopper that Bobby hit, forced a double clutch throw and a run scores. Maybe that's what it takes to get things rolling. We'll have to see as the series goes and as these next 5 go.
The vibe of this podcast would have been way different if we did it Sunday night.
My God.
My God. Like last week we talked like, they're locked for the playoffs. The odds are great. Like we're planning out playoff rotations. We're looking at the magic number. Sunday night after that game, I was like, man, we're going to have to like eat shit on this. Like they might actually miss. They still could. Like it absolutely is on the table still. They're by no means in, but that win was huge on Tuesday night. Absolutely monumental for the odds, for the magic number getting down. Minnesota, as we're talking, either got shelled or is still getting shelled. The Royals getting a little bit of help. You guys mentioned the bullpen and the rotation. Mike Lorenzen is going to get the nod on Wednesday. Recovered from the left hamstring injury that he had. He threw a couple simulated innings on Saturday. Joel, were you out there for those?
Saturday. I was out there for it. He looked good. He looked healthy. The fastball looked live back to where it had been. He got some solid swings and misses on the breaking stuff too. He faced a couple hitters like Tommy Pham, MJ, Dyron, and Carter Jensen, interestingly enough. But I saw a lefty out there, and I was like, who is that? Because I saw like a tattoo sleeve, and I was like, okay, that looks like Isbell, but he's a little too tall for it to be Isbell. And he turned around and went, oh, Josh will be happy to know this.
Because he's a Greek god. God Carter Jensen in the box.
Yeah, man, Will Smith, there's some simulated innings as well, and he looked solid. Again, got some swings and misses on some stuff. Fastball looked fine, but I don't know what his timeline looks like compared to Lorenzen. Lorenzen had already had rehab assignments, so this was just the next step in that. But they said he looked completely healthy. He looked healthy after, stretched out a little bit post, but it looked like that was more like post-outing stretching than, the hammies a little tight, I got to work this out.
Two quick things there. Q, after the simulated innings, said that he looked completely healthy, and then said hopefully it's a big step for Will Smith as he gets back from the back injury. Not so good news on the back front for Hunter Harvey and the elbow front for James MacArthur. Both of those guys, per Annie, are shut down for the remainder of the year. So Harvey going to Dallas for a second opinion on the back injury. Not inherently a good thing. Long-term could be good if he gets it figured out, but never great to hear that it's still lingering into what could be a postseason run. So both of those guys going to be done. That's obviously not great for the bullpen. They have a few guys they can lean on. It's not like Hunter Harvey, after the trade, was in the circle of trust. He was kind of in by default, but not necessarily earning it. And then MacArthur, that is probably the more notable loss for the bullpen. So it sucks. It's unfortunate. They're going to miss both of them in some capacity, but I don't think that these are, and this is a poor word choice, but a backbreaking type thing for the Royals bullpen. Joel, do you think it's a big deal or a medium deal?
I think it's a medium deal just for next year, just to see like what he's able to provide. If it was a rental, it is what it is. But having him for next year, I think it'd be a little more of a detriment if it was a rental. But with him having a year and a half, just get right, get healthy, come into spring ready to go as a middle relief for this team, and we'll go from there. So I have a much more long-term view on Hunter Harvey at this point than just helping us in October. And I think the emergence of what Chris Bubich has done, what Sam Long has continued to do, and what Lucas Ursig has done at the back end of the bullpen, it makes it a little more palatable to just let Hunter Harvey get healthy rather than trying to just get him back into the fold to try and log innings for this team in October.
One of the things that I wanted to do with Hunter Harvey in the offseason was see if he can improve on that slider a little bit and kind of unlock a little bit more value that could potentially be there for the Royals. That was one of the bigger things that I was excited about acquiring him for. So they need to get that figured out so they can get working on that kind of stuff and potentially unlock that stuff. Now, the offseason is long. The season next year is all long, and you can tinker and toy with stuff in the meantime. But at the same time, like, if they're shutting him down because he's not making any progress, that is definitely concerning even on that front. So I am a bit concerned on that front. But at the same time, like, just shut it down, see what you can get, and go from there. But the question I wanted to raise with you guys, Lorenzen was named the starter on Wednesday. Do you guys, is that the move you guys would have went with? Would you have given Lorenzen the nod, even if, he was, quote unquote, seemingly healthy over Marsh? Are you that anxious to see him in the pen at this point? Or what would you guys have done with the start on Wednesday? Because it is a big, big start.
I still am okay with Michael Lorenzen being the starter. I think I know what I'm going to get from Michael Lorenzen. Like, I'm going to get 5 innings, 2 runs, 3 runs, 4 or 5 strikeouts, a couple walks, scatter some hits, get it to the bullpen. Like, that's what he did. That's what he did right before he got hurt, which for what you were asking of him at that point, fine. Like, that's what you want out of your 5-starter. With Alec Marsh, you either get the Pirates start, where he's striking out the world and not getting any hits, or he's getting whacked by the Tigers in a game that you needed to win, and it was an absolute dud. So, I don't know. Like, I feel like I would rather have the known commodity that has some playoff experience in this spot, and then go to let Alec Marsh go to the bullpen let the stuff tick up a little bit more and see what you got. Because I think that's going to be his role in October. Alec Marsh is not going to start games for this team. I'd rather let him get an outing or two before that potential playoff series than try and let him start and then go to the bullpen for wild card one. He comes out in 7th and hasn't come out of the pen all year.
Yeah. No. If you would have asked me, Josh, before Joel, or I guess if I would have jumped in front of him, 98%, 99% would have been the exact same. So I think that's perfectly fine. It's not a fantastic play. It's not like one was head and shoulders better than the other or above the other or more practical in a postseason environment. But if Lorenzen is indeed healthy, and hamstring injuries for guys that aren't necessarily young are always tricky. They are for guys that are young.
They're built like a friggin' Adonis.
Yes,
like
exactly.
Rainbow dudes on the planet. Like, I will say, like, if you want some Josh Keiser analysis from Joel Penfield, like, you walk in that Royals clubhouse, like, Michael Lorenzen has never missed a day for squats or bicep curls in his entire life. Like, it is insane.
In my head, it was like a coin flip. And if we're that kind of, like, if those are the odds in that high pressure of a situation, like, that is gambling. Like, that is, Q is rolling the dice and trying to force the right answer on a coin flip. And that is anxiety.
Okay.
Decision.
So I'll throw this out. I don't think that this is something the Royals would do, but I think it's at least intriguing. Maybe this could be like a piggyback start situation.
Yeah.
Where Lorenzen goes 3, and then you got Marsh for 3, or you go Lorenzen for 4, Lynch for 2,
Bingo.
Marsh for a couple, something like that. Because I don't think they're gonna push Lorenzen beyond 5, and then you get like a Daniel Lynch, Alec Marsh 6th, 7th, and then you maybe try and go to one of your circle of trust guys to try and close it out.
The circle is so wide now. The diameter is
it is a lot wider.
Good,
and I'll talk about that a little bit later. Actually, I'm going to bring up 2 guys because I think it's worth noting after the outing tonight.
Cool. Yeah. Plenty more coming at you guys in terms of content here. Lots more thoughts coming up right after a quick break.
Looking for tickets for your next event? Tickets for Less is your #1 source. Save big on every purchase when you use promo code KCSN at ticketsforless.com. You know when you discover a new binge-worthy show or a song that you play on repeat and you just have to share it with your friends so they can experience it too? That's kind of what it feels like when you discover that Mint Mobile offers premium wireless service for just $15 a month when you purchase a 3-month plan. It's such an awesome deal, there's no way you can keep it to yourself. Friends don't let friends overpay for wireless. Say bye-bye to overpriced wireless plan and switch to Mint Mobile. Mint Mobile is here to rescue you and your squad with premium wireless plans starting at just $15 per month. And if you're worried about using your own phone or bringing along your phone number and your contacts, Mint Mobile has you covered there as well. Ditch overpriced wireless with Mint Mobile's deal and get 3 months of premium wireless service for just $15 a month. To get this new customer offer and your new 3-month premium wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/KCSN, the number 1 RW. That's mintmobile.com/KCSN1RW. Cut your wireless bill to just $15 a month at mintmobile.com/KCSN1RW. $45 upfront payment required, equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for details.
Shout out to Mint Mobile, man. If you guys want to partake in and indulge in and dive into the conversation more, you can do so on the KCSN hotline, powered by our good friends at Mint Mobile, 913-407-6524. That's 913-407-6524. Lots of good opportunities for questions, comments, concerns, playoff rotation questions, magic number questions, college football 25 questions, anything you want. 913-407-6524. So, fellas, we have weekly takeaways. We have player spotlights to do. Let's do the earlier one first. Joel, you mentioned a gut check time, and I think that part of that was answered on Tuesday night, but still plenty more ahead because that magic number, I believe, is 4 as we're talking here, and that's not 0, so they still have a little bit more work to do.
Yeah, the magic number is officially down to 4 now that Miami beat Minnesota. But yeah, it's gut check time for this team. I talked about it a little bit last week that like this is where we're heading, like take care of business and you're going to be in October. And they didn't do that at all last week. And that's a lot of it is on the bats. So they put themselves in a very precarious position. Now they have a little bit of cushion, but it ain't much. So it is what this team is made of. Like what is this team made of? Are they going to be able to do what felt impossible back in March when we talked? Like I went back and listened to our episode and I said like, look, them winning 80 games is not like it's a low percentile outcome, but it's certainly on the board. But I mean, we're at 83 wins now and staring down the barrel of October, something that we weren't expecting. And you could tell it wore on this team last week. Some of that pressure. I think that's what that was. A lot, especially on the bat side. Not like where these guys are shaking in their boots, but you can tell some of those at bats where they're really trying to get that run across, trying to do a little too much, pressing, trying to force the issue. And that's what I think led to a lot of this. And that was kind of the feeling I got when I was there on Saturday. Normally the clubhouse is super chill. Guys are sitting around, guys are sitting at tables talking shop, watching, either the game, whatever game is on, or football, or they're talking about whatever. Wasn't a lot of that. A lot of guys were there. The clubhouse was pretty empty. I talked to Bobby very briefly, but he kind of gave, a pretty just, hey, we got to take care of business. We're obviously not trying to lose. We got to go out there and play and keep doing what's got us here. And it was a pretty subdued answer from even from him. And I was like, okay, this is, I could tell it's starting to, the pressure has gotten to him a little bit. Maybe tonight is what opens the floodgates again. Like Bobby had, obviously you guys can go see this after the fact, but Joel Goldberg did the Bally Sports interview with Bobby after the game. And Bobby said, we didn't come this far to come this far. Like, this isn't the end of it. We have to keep rolling. And maybe a weird win like tonight is what it takes to open the floodgates again and get on a roll and get into October, in the next couple of days. But we'll see what this team is made of. And if they're able to scratch more than one run across in extra innings with the ghost runner, like it has to come to that. These guys have to come through. The pitching staff has to continue to pull their weight as well. They've been pulling a hell of a lot of it. But they have to keep things rolling, man. Like they can't let up now. They can't win this one today and then lose two straight. You're putting yourself in a real bad position going to Atlanta with a desperate team trying to get into the wild card as well.
Yeah, and Joe, you mentioned like you didn't think you mentioned that the offense wasn't entirely to blame. I would say that they were entirely to
almost
blame.
Entirely. Yeah, no, I wasn't trying to say that like I wasn't trying to, have any levity, but like that was almost the sole reason that they lost a few of those games, almost just flatly. Maybe the Singer start on Saturday when he got rocked, giving up a bunch of solos, like obviously that doesn't help, but yeah, like pretty much every game last week was due to a lack of any sort of offense.
And they did see Tarek Skubal. They did see
that doesn't help.
Blake Snell. I mean, those guys are Cy Young winners / Cy Young going to win. So the quality of pitching was there sometimes, but the offense just flat out sucked last week. So that was my takeaway, and it was a lot of people's takeaway, obviously. But I kind of wanted to dive into who was to blame, who's been pressing, who's got the right mentality and the right, plate discipline that's doing everything right. They just need to, coast and see, and they got to glide through that slump a little bit. But they scored 4 runs in 5 games. You throw in tonight's game, 5 runs in 6 games. Obviously, things are a problem. They slashed 169, 260, and 188 last week.
They haven't hit a home run since Monday when Bobby hit the grand slam.
I was trying to figure out the last time, and the Bobby one was the last one I could remember. So they scored 4 runs, and all of those were RBI singles. That's where we are at the current status. So I kind of wanted to dive in a little bit as to the why, the who, and where do we go from here. So I looked a little bit at that. As far as the batted ball stuff goes, they aren't hitting line drives. And if you're in the analytical thing, line drives is where the moneymaker is. That's where batters should be trying to hit, is line drives at a fast speed, and they just aren't doing that. There's a 13.9% line drive rate last week. That was the second to last highest percentage in line drive rate. They had the 6th lowest average exit velocity at 86.9, the 8th lowest barrel rate at 5.2%. So they were not hitting it hard. They were only hitting it on the ground or up in the air, and that is always going to account for outs in most situations. So you're not even getting lucky. They're not doing anything well. Everybody wanted to point to the runners in scoring position issue, which was absolutely apparent. They had 36 plate appearances last week with runners in scoring position. They had 3 singles. They struck out 14% of the time. They walked 8.7% of the time, which helps, but is not really what you're looking for there. So across the board, like the approach was bad. The outcomes were worse, and there was no luck to be had on any front, whether it be good or bad. So it just is what it is. As far as players concerned, there's a few guys that I just don't think that they need to be seeing any time at this point. And I think that's Freddie Fermin, which is one of the big guys that we've been talking about all year. One of the big keys to the success of this offense and being able to rotate Vinny Pasquantino and Salvi Perez like they are. He's just not doing it right now. He's at a negative 100 WRC plus in 9 plate appearances last week. Like that is a small sample size, obviously, but
It's not bad.
Holy crap. Like the
200% below league average. Is that bad?
That's not great. Not great,
Yikes.
Bob. Soft contact, only hitting ground balls or fly balls. He's chasing. If the balls are in the zone, he's not swinging. Like he is just doesn't have it right now. He does not need to be solid again tonight. Same thing. Yeah, he's exposed to every day of plate appearances. He shouldn't be having at this point. Garrett Hampson is what he is. He should not be in the lineup, period. Blanco, the metrics aren't great on him, but they just should not be playing him just to save him for game situations. I think it's the game script situation that they need to be saving Dairon Blanco, so he shouldn't be seeing the field very much anyway outside of those. And then Paul DeYoung, man, he was the answer, quote unquote, at the trade deadline to the lineup woes. He had a couple big ones, but last week, negative 32 WRC plus was 7 plate appearances. He had 4 strikeouts in 7 of those plate appearances. Soft contact, only hitting on the ball on the ground or in the air. He is chasing. He is missing balls in the zone. He does not need to be seeing the field whatsoever either. But guys like Robbie Grossman and Adam Frazier, as much as people want to dog on both of those guys, they're still walking a little bit. They're still providing a bit of professional plate appearances, which is the MO of Adam Frazier at this point. So I think that they are fine as far as like getting situational appearances where you need them. But guys like, Kyle Isbell, he's got the right approach. He just needs to swing more versus a guy like Michael Massey who needs to stop swinging as much, which has always been the case for Michael Massey, seemingly. He needs to get back to being a little more disciplined. And then guys like Salvi, he's always going to chase. It just is what Salvi is, but he is a buy-it-ball hitter. Bobby Witt Jr. chases. He is a buy-it-ball hitter. He's a good hitter in general. But guys like that can get away with it. Guys like, Michael Massey can't get by with it. A lot of these guys that are chasing are just not in. Tommy Pham was the last one I wanted to talk about. 6 strikeouts in 18 plate appearances, a negative 17 WRC plus. He has, again, he's hitting the ball hard. His line drive rate is good. All the metrics are saying that he is doable. So I think you've got to keep trotting him out there. Stay the course with Tommy Pham. Keep giving him plate appearances and get him out of this slump. And hopefully that happens. It didn't happen again tonight. And I'm going to talk about Yuli Gurriel a little bit later in the player spotlight. But I just wanted to kind of look at some of these independent guys and see who's to blame. Who can we send the pitchforks after and demand that they never see the field ever again? And that's what I came up with.
So
That's a long one. Sorry, I went really hard right there. I'm sorry.
So here's the only flaw in what you're talking about there. So you talk about a few of the right-handed hitters.
Get his ass.
Yep.
DJ Hers is pitching tomorrow or on Wednesday. He's a lefty. And then Patrick Corbin is pitching against them on
the
Thursday.
corpse of
both
Patrick
of those.
Corbin.
I mean, you could throw lefties out there against him, and it probably doesn't matter because he is objectively terrible. But one of the Royals done all year when they face lefties. Too.
Or terrible pitchers.
Which means Freddie Fermin, Garrett Hampson, Tommy Pham are going to be in the lineup. And others are going to be like, Paul DeYoung because he has reverse splits. But every righty hitter that you said probably shouldn't be in the lineup is going to be, because that's just what the Royals have operated. That has been their modus operandi all year. They are going to heavily platoon that side. So I understand, and your logic is completely sound, and I totally agree. It's not what they are going to do, because I've watched 156 games. I kind of know what I'm going to get, right?
Well, that means the Freddie Fermin slump is coming to an end. That means the Salvador Perez.
Hey, we can hope, right?
To an end. That's what's happening. That's where we're.
I wish they would give Robbie Grossman the at-bats against lefties, because he that's all he does is hit lefties.
Yes.
Yep.
He should get some of those DH at-bats.
He's not seeing the ball well. Then that
No, he's not, but he still will at least walk, which like that's fine. Like if that's what if you put him in the 7-hole and he walks, cool. Like that's fine. I'm not going to worry about that, but we'll see. I totally understand what you're going for, and I completely agree. But the Royals are going to continue with their platoon stuff,
and maybe they should, because
they're going
way better.
And they're also going to face Max Fried, I believe, in Atlanta. So they're going to do the same thing. Oh God, Garrett Hampson against Max Fried is going to be a real tough watch.
Wait, we're not going to see Max Fried.
I thought he was on Saturday.
I don't think so.
I'm not sure that he is either. I could be totally wrong on that.
I think we're missing him and Sale.
Yeah, no, they are. Yeah, they are missing him. So
they missed Sale and Fried.
Yeah, but I mean, the guys they see are also very good. It's just not the.
Well, Schwellenbach is going to be a problem, but
that's the Saturday. I think it's Saturday or Sunday.
Yeah, I think so.
So my bad. I could have sworn that I saw him on the probables for
I think they said today. Yeah, I think that he's out. Yep.
Okay. Fair enough. Never mind.
So to further contextualize kind of the, I don't want to say fall off, but the non-replication of the hot start they got off to, 17-11 in April, 17-11 in May, 35-24 at the end of May. And you're like, okay, the Royals are going to make the playoffs because they start slow, and they didn't do that this year. And then they've been 48-50 since then, including the win on Tuesday. 12-15 in June, 13-10 in July, 15-13 in August, so 40-38 in those 3 months. So they weren't bad by any means, but they were just kind of chugging along, treading water, playing roughly 500 ball. 8-12 in September. Their ranks in big league ball since June 1st, 14th in slugging percentage, 21st in WRC plus, 13th in ERA, and 11th in strikeout minus walk percentage. So the offense not hot like it started off, in the pitching still very respectable, but not absolutely heat like it was to kick off the year. Ranks in big league ball since Vinny Pasquantino got hurt on the 29th of August. Dead last in WRC plus, dead last in slugging percentage, 11th in ERA, so they jumped up 2 spots, and tops in baseball in strikeout minus walk percentage. So the pitching still was pretty damn solid. The bullpen improved post-deadline. The rotation went through a little bit of a dry spell, but it's been better since then. The offense has been terrible. The Royals have not sustained what they started off the year doing. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to tell you that. That was kind of my tone. To be fair, we thought we were going to talk about this a little bit earlier than knowing the outcome of Tuesday's game, so I was going to rip into people a lot more than I probably will on this podcast here. So it's not all doom and gloom. We did get a little bit out ahead of ourselves, it looks like, and then simultaneously they weren't bad enough to where it became a problem. Even in 12-15 in June, that still was an okay month. You're not going to be perfect every single month, but they kind of did the reverse Kansas City Royals. They had 2 7-game losing streaks in September. Now they're fighting for a playoff spot. Usually they start off in April, and then May playing bad. Kind of flipped that this year. So maybe you normalize that in 2025 and you're not fighting in the last week of the season. But that is my thought. I kind of want to snake this. Can I take my spotlight before everybody else?
I have one question really quick.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah, go for it.
You talked about the Vinny Pasquantino stat. Is Vinny the most important 108 WRC plus hitter in the history of baseball?
Yeah, he's got to be. Because it goes beyond, and he can be in the building, he can be texting guys, he can, have that effect. But, in the lineup, on the field every day, the leadership
His-
that he brings, it
his
rubs
ability
off
to
on
hit with
everybody.
his ability to hit with runners in
Yes.
scoring position. Like that's
Yeah.
what, like we can talk about how awesome Bobby is, and obviously that kind of goes without saying. He's going to be MVP too this year. But I think my takeaway from this season might be that Vinny's the straw that stirs the drink with this offense. Like it really might be. And I think that's become abundantly clear over the last month.
He's good at ball, as so they would say. He knows ball. He's good at ball. Important player on the team. Is Michael Garcia good at ball? Is he a key player on the
He's
team?
good at
That's the
something.
question. He's good at some things, and let's peel that back. Let's peel that back. Defensively, he's been good. Caveat: third base only. Second base was not good. 3.4 UZR at third base, 4 outs above average. That's 78th percentile in baseball, 60th percentile in fielding run value. Good base runner too, very solid. 94th percentile base running run value. The sprint speed is pretty decent, a little bit more aggressive than the average ball player in advanced opportunities. The advanced stats are above average, kind of like what I was talking about Kyle Isbell. That's kind of the vibe I got with him too. Really good defensive metrics, really solid base running metrics. He doesn't miss the ball, and that's a compliment. The walk rate's down 6% from last year. He has a great chase percentage, whiff percentage, squared up percentage is 98th percentile in all of baseball, which is ridiculous. So he's getting the most out of his specific swing. He's doing as much as he can with what he has kind of shown this season. The caveat, the expected batting average, the expected slugging percentage, those would add 74 points to his OPS or stat line, whatever you want to go with. He doesn't hit the ball hard. The expected metrics are not great still. The barrel rate's bad. The bat speed is bad. The hard hit rate's down. His ISO's like 100 right around there this year, so it's remarkably not good despite being a career high. He's not doing the damage against fastballs that he did a year ago. He hit 290 and slugged almost 400 against fastballs a year ago. That's down to 217 and 308. So
Holy crap.
yeah, if you're looking for a culprit, man, and the expected numbers, to be fair, are a good chunk higher, but like he's straight up has fallen off against fastballs. So he remains an excellent defender at third base. Second base experiment did not go well. Base running is a plus trait. Professional approach, doesn't strike out a ton. Power numbers are up just a little bit, but still not a factor. You heard me talk about Kyle Isbell a week ago. I said a lot of the same stuff, a lot of the same profile stuff, a lot of the same, well, he can help you. He's going to be worth 1.5 wins. You can get by with him every day. Should he be the guy? I don't know. The only problem is Michael Garcia is playing third base for the Kansas City Royals. He needs to have more power. He needs to be a better offensive player. He can't provide the same defensive value, I would argue, that a Kyle Isbell can, just because of the nature of his position. He can come pretty close still over there. But I don't think that he's the long-term third base option. I thought coming into the year that he would solidify that. And the problem is, guys, I guess I'll give Joel the floor first. He wasn't good at second base to where you can say, oh, just put him at second, because then you have a Michael Massey problem, but also you're running into maybe a value proposition there as well.
My opinion, because I've never talked to Michael. I don't know anything about him. I like beyond just seeing him in the clubhouse. The way that he is at the plate feels to me that he is in between what he wants to be as a ball player.
Yes.
Because we see him, like, especially early in the season, he talked about an emphasis on trying to get to his pull side more to maximize his profile of like, hey, I need to hit for a little more power. The most efficient way to do that is to hit everything pull side. Then he got to pull happy, which led to a ton of the weak contact that we saw. And then he kind of got away from it a little bit and was like, okay, I'm going to kind of be the hitter I was last year, which is just spray the ball everywhere.
And it's all
the all fields. And I think it's way better that way. Like, I think he either needs to put on a little bit of weight and lean into the pull side stuff, or he needs to be a right-handed Luis Arias and just spray the ball, because the bat speed, like he has more bat speed, but all the squared up whiff and case stuff,
it's all great.
Exactly what Luis Arias does. And he doesn't chase as much as Arias does. In fact, he's way better at it than Arias is. And he strikes out a little bit more, but he walks at a higher clip.
Mm.
So,
and that's saying something, because he doesn't really walk very much at all.
But he walks at 6.3%. Arias walks 3.7, but that's because he can hit literally everything within the zip code of the yeah. And he barrels the ball more, and the hard hit rate is higher. So, like, maybe he needs to just lean into being a right-handed, just spray the ball everywhere guy. Or he goes from 6'180" to 6'195" and tries to hit the ball for a little more power.
I don't know if the Thick Lofton thing works for him.
I don't think so. And I was just kind of showing.
I'm with you. I'm totally with you.
Yeah, I'm not suggesting one way or the other. And if I were to lean which path, I think for him, it's just, honestly, be like your cousin. Be like Alcides Escobar. Just spray the ball. Don't worry about hitting homers. If you get a fastball inside, sure, yank it down the line. That's awesome. But for him to be a valuable big leaguer, it is getting on base, because he is such a good base runner that it is about getting on base and hitting singles and turning those singles into doubles by stealing second base.
But he can't do that. Like, the on-base percentage is what it is, and he's 24.5 years old, so there's potentially some prime years ahead of him.
Yeah, like,
I don't know what you're unlocking.
No, I think it's more just, maybe it's trying to just not pull everything, because that's
a fundamental shift.
Like, it's a lot. It would have to be it would have to be a complete fundamental shift in what he's doing. But I don't know if they're going to do that. That's just me being a moron that talks into a microphone on a podcast.
Same.
Hey, maybe you try something like this, and obviously you're not going to turn him into a 330 hitter like Luis Arias is. But if you can be a poor man's version of that, that has value, because you're getting on base and you're spraying the ball around, and you're setting the table for Bobby Witt Jr., Vinny Pasquantino, Salvador Perez.
I mean, do you think he has the capacity to be like a 260, 320 guy?
He was a 270, 320 in 2023.
Yeah. I think he has the capacity.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. That just led, when I saw your spotlight to be Michael Garcia, it just kind of led me to the internal battle that I've had, is like, what do you do with him moving forward? Is he I know you said, like, you don't think he is the third base option long term. I do wonder how he's viewed by the organization with 3 years of, really like 2 years of Major League service time. I was emphasizing neither one of them have been great offensively. They've been fine defensively, which you can swallow at third or at second base or shortstop with how good a defense he is at shortstop. But you don't want that from your traditional third baseman. So if you're JJ Piccolo, what are you doing with Michael Garcia in this offseason?
So here's the problem with that. I'm sorry, Jordan. Go ahead.
No, I'm done. You're good.
Okay. So I just wanted to look. I just pulled up really quick Spot Rack to see the free agent third base.
Alex Bregman, Yoan Moncada, Eugenio Suarez probably are your.
That's
are your
it. That's the three. It is Bregman, who's an unrestricted free agent, but he's going to get a lot of money, so you're not going to dip into that pool. Yoan Moncada has a club option for $25 million. There is a negative 10,000% chance the White Sox are picking that up, because they already talked about cutting payroll.
Yep.
Eugenio Suarez has a club option for 15. He's been really good for them. I could see them picking that up. So he's been, the second half, he's been really good for them.
Okay, because I'll just say the first half was not good.
First half was a nightmare, but once they got hot in July, once they started to pick it up, he did too, and he's been
hot girl summer, I guess.
Yeah. So, if you want to dip into the free agent side, you would take a massive swing on a low cost Yoan Moncada, because he's not going to cost a lot because of the injury history and the lack of production. But it's kind of what you have. I don't know what kind of trade options would be available for a third baseman either. So you might go into
Thomas. He's going to get big time.
He might. Okay. So if I could and I've talked to some people about this, if I could press a button and be like, if I would GM for a day, this is the move I would make. one of the ones would be Willie Adames to play third base.
Yeah.
Because he's not that great of a shortstop, but I just need you to not suck at third base and hit 30 homers.
Yeah.
But I looked at the spot rack value, and that's not an exact science, but the market value on him is 7 for 175. I don't think the Royals are dipping into
29. 29. So that seems to be out of their price range for sure.
That's all I got. I spent a lot of time on that. I did not intend to.
It was worth it because
it's worth it because that is, yeah.
It's a big deal.
If he was 27, I think we'd be having a different conversation. But he's 24. So I think that changes the math on where we see him next year.
100%.
If I were to guess, I remember when we sat down with JJ Picola one time and he gushed about Michael Garcia and how much he loved the player.
He's easy to root for, and he's a good kid.
Yeah.
I could see, I think if I were to just take a look into the future, that he's the starting third baseman for the Royals in 2025. If I just had to take a guess.
That is 2023 Royals mentality. We are.
And again, I don't know what your options are.
100%. You're right.
I think that is the problem. If there was a mid-tier free agent in the Michael Wacha tier equivalent I think they would go dip into that pool.
Yeah.
I don't think that's available to them unless they want to take a massive swing on a Willie Adames, or you trade some assets to go and get a guy from a non-contender that's willing to part with someone. I just think they might run it back with them because I just don't know what options are available to them.
I think they will.
Yep.
For the record. I think you will.
I'm sure there will be some sort of communication to try, but I don't think they're going to mortgage a ton of payroll on it if they don't think it's worth it and they think Michael can still be a guy.
Yeah. I think he'll be the third baseman next year. All of that said, I do think that they'll keep him, whether it's right or wrong.
I wonder if they could convince Oakland to part with one, or I guess Miguel Andujar or maybe Abraham Toro. I know they both kind of fell off a little bit in the second half, but those are controllable and cheap.
Hard
options.
no on both, I'll be honest.
I'm just saying, we saw how susceptible this offense is if Vinny leaves or not leaves, but gets hurt. And he's been hurt substantially the last 2 years. And not that either one of those are predictable and says he's an injury-prone player, but we got to have some kind of insurance policies on this offense. We cannot sit spinning our wheels in the mud. We can't give up on guys like, I don't know, obviously Bobby and Massey and Vinny himself, but there's only a limited amount of options that they can upgrade on those situations. Yeah. Corner outfield's definitely one of them, but I don't think you're giving up on MJ Melendez entirely at this point. Hunter Renfroe is what he is, and his contract situation is a little bit up in the air too. So I don't know where we are and where they upgraded. And I think that if we are talking about a traditional offense where you need production to upgrade, it's got to be at that hot corner, in my opinion. But I again, like you said, the options are pretty much limited at that point. They got to get creative, which they've shown the capacity to do. So maybe there is something there.
Yep. Josh, who you got? They could bring back I'm just joking.
Oh, were you gonna say that? Yeah.
Because even if they bring back your guy, they can't put him at third base.
Doesn't matter. Yeah, I don't think he's built for third base anymore. Yuli Gurriel, again, a creative signing that they pulled out to potentially supplement the loss of Vinny Pasquantino, had a solid week. 4 for 17 with 4 singles, 3 walks and 4 strikeouts, 235, 350 on base, and a 235 slug. He can draw a walk. He can make a good, solid contact and get on base. If I was betting on a candidate to regress based on the metrics, Yuli Gurriel is number one with a bullet. I don't know how viable of an actual offensive weapon he actually is, but he is providing decent defense at first base, which with Freddie Fermin slumping like he is and him providing a little bit of offensive production, that in and of itself is pretty big. Because if we were just sitting there throwing Salvia and Fermin in the lineup because we didn't have any other option outside of maybe Garrett Hampson at first base, then that is a huge problem. So Yuli Gurriel, just a very humble week, but a 4 for 17 with a 350 on base percentage is not nothing, especially in a slumping offense like this. So if he can keep that rolling, great. He's providing what you need him to provide, but he is a regression candidate, in my opinion, and I hope they aren't counting on that moving forward. But he did have a good week.
There's only so much longer for him to regress, right? Hopefully, like, they're able to, like, end the season and then the regression happens. Like, we don't have to worry about it beyond that. But like I said, I think I mentioned it briefly last week. The fact that he's been a net positive for this offense is one of the most improbable things that has happened in a year of a lot of improbability. So, credit to him for sticking around for the love of the game and helping a team in a final playoff push. Like, that's a pretty incredible.
The definition of not nothing. Like, he is the epitome of not nothing, but I don't know if he's much.
It's all good. Joel, who do you got?
So I'm actually going to double dip really quick because I have two small sample relievers, but two guys that have been pretty good over the last, little stretch here. So John Schreiber, who I know has been the mark of a lot of ire from Royals fans post like middle of May.
Yep.
But since he came back from the injured list back in the middle of August, this is 11 innings, 12 strikeouts in those 11 innings, a 3.27 ERA, a 2.35 FIP, and only 5 walks. I say only, but he's prone to walking guys. So I'll take 5 in 11 innings. Like, that's fine. But it seems like he's kind of gotten back to a circle of trust type guy, not someone that you're going to hand the ball to in the 8th inning unless you're desperate, but a guy you can hand the ball to and feel pretty comfortable he's going to get through the inning. Yeah. 69% nice ground ball rate. 39% ground ball rate, a 69% left on base percentage.
Nice.
Which for him, that's a really solid number for a reliever for sure, especially for a guy that they hand the ball to in some muddy innings. And of the 4 earned runs that he's given up, it was just in back-to-back outings in Houston, where he gave up on the 29th, which I think was the game from hell when Vinny and Erceg got hurt. And then I think he came in a bases-loaded situation and gave up a couple of hits, 2 days later. But other than that, been all zeros. He looks like he's throwing the ball with a lot bit more conviction. There is a clear plan for him. It is sinkers, down and into lefties, down and away to righties, cutters into lefties, throw the sweeper, and I'm going to throw the crap out of it until you can't stop it. And, it seems like, and Q even mentioned it, like he's kind of gotten back to closer to what they got out of him early in the season. And he's been getting more strikeouts, which has been the biggest thing. And I wonder I think some of it could be just a little bit of like baseball mortality and reliever volatility, because he had a pretty high strikeout clip before prior to this season. He didn't have that this year, and he was relying on pitching to a lot of contact, which when you're a pitched contact guy, sometimes that just bites you. And that did for him for quite a long stretch, but it seems like he's kind of gotten away from that now, and only 8 hits in those 11 innings. So it seems like he's gotten going. And then Angel Zerpa, it's only 4 outings coming back from a little stint in Omaha where he just needed to reset. He had just gotten whacked before that. And since coming back, has not given up a run in 4 innings. The FIP coming into tonight was negative 0.83. Really nice to see.
Holy smokes.
6 strikeouts in those 4 innings. This is the biggest thing to me. And again, significant to Angel Zerpa's what he is, a 100% ground ball rate. Wow. And that includes tonight as well. Every out that he has recorded,
that's awesome.
Not a strikeout, was a walk or was a ground ball. And he has not walked anyone in this stretch either, which again, huge for what he is. And he's still running the fastball up in the upper 9s with the sinker and the 4-seam, the slider to pair with it. I still believe that he is going to be a good big league pitcher. And he showed flashes of it this year, got rocked in the middle of the season, felt like he was kind of just a gas can there for a while. But if he can kind of get back to, again, what he was in April just for this stretch, there's not a lot of baseball left. So if they're able to just kind of tap back into what the bullpen was back in April with the addition of a Lucas Erceg, it changes the math a lot on what the Royals can do if they're able to get into October. And I'm not saying Angel Zerpa is going to be a huge part of that, but he's shown flashes of the potential that I still believe he has. If you guys have thoughts on either Schreiber or Zerpa, go for it. I kind of throw a lot of numbers at you, but go for it.
The Schreiber part, like, he's had ups and downs all damn year, so I'm still not, like, super interested in investing him in high leverage situations, even though I think he can be that guy.
Okay, so ideal scenario, because he's going to be on the playoff roster. I'm really convinced of that. What is your comfort level giving him the ball in pick a situation? Like, if you were
a clean sixth inning where you need to bridge the gap between the starter and, let's say, Chris Bubich or Sam Long, and it's a right-handed
like a righty-lefty righty or righty-righty-lefty.
Yeah. Give me a clean sixth inning with John Schreiber in the postseason with a right guy. I don't want him much more than that. And there's not a lot of right-handed situation relievers in that bullpen currently, outside of like Alec Marsh and Michael Lorenzen, that I would be happy with that kind of appearance in that situation. So I think that is a situation tailored for John Schreiber at this point, which he is still susceptible at that point. Don't get me wrong, but I think that is the ideal situation that I would be comfortable having John Schreiber at.
Yeah, I think the best pairing for that would be either a Michael Wacha or a Cole Reagans, because Wacha, even though it's a righty, like he's straight over the top. He's over the top to here, or you get Reagans from the left side to then go to a side-winding righty. Like I think makes the most sense.
You could throw him with any of those guys, in my opinion. Yeah. Wacha for sure, but like Lugo, he's a 13-pitch guy compared to a sidewinder that generates ground balls for the most part. So I think he can go off of any of those guys, and that's really what he probably should be used for at that point. And Zerpa, like you talked about, like it could be huge for this bullpen, both for the long and the short term, if he is real at this point. And his big problems were the walks and being hittable. And if both of those things are largely cured, then he's going to be a badass in the back of that bullpen. And hopefully he can kind of garner that back of the bullpen mentality that's required. But he very well could be a huge, huge win for this organization, depending on what he's able to do in the back there, in the bullpen in general, really.
You're going to get more looks at the bullpen coming up. Washington series is done on the 26th. It's going to be Reagans, who pitched on Tuesday, obviously. Lorenzen on Wednesday, Wacha on Thursday. Singer, Lugo, Reagans for the Atlanta series. And then potentially next Tuesday, the open of the AL wildcard series, which would be against TBD. The Royals now with a better lead over the Twins, and the Tigers are hanging around, but the tiebreakers at play as well there. So looking good in the American League wildcard picture. I say that on Wednesday morning as you're listening to this. It could change, obviously, in the blink of an eye, but Joel's confident that a certain somebody's going to have that happen over his dead body.
I mean, what he has shown this year is that Bobby Witt Jr. is not going to let this team lose. When they really are down, he's been the guy that's like, it's not going to happen today. I think Bobby gets 2 home runs before the end of the season on Sunday in Atlanta.
Let's go.
I think he's going to be, he sparked the offense tonight. Again, 50 hopper to the shortstop, but they scored a run for the first time in 28 innings, so I'll take it. I don't care. I don't care how it happens. It's like the ugliest touchdown in the NFL. It doesn't matter how you get there. It's a freaking touchdown.
Still 6.
Still 6. So, no, I think Bobby gets 2 more home runs before the end of the year and solidifies MVP 2. He pretty much solidified it a long time ago, but I think it cements that.
Since I became Captain Fade, I am 3-1. And boys and girls, that is not changing anytime soon. So I'm going to fade. It's the ultimate Captain Fade move. We had the win tonight. Great win. We got it. We needed it. We stopped the bleeding. Captain Fade says they lose both Wednesday and Thursday. definitively ending this season, I think, at this point. So I'm going to go Captain Fade, full-blown Captain Fade mode, and say they lose Wednesday and Thursday.
If they lose to Patrick Corbin...
Dude, this is how the season has gone.
If they lose to Patrick Corbin...
They don't deserve any pupsies.
Yeah. Yes. Correct.
They cannot go into Atlanta needing 2 games and things to happen. That can't happen. That's not a thing that can happen.
Yep. I think they're going to win the finale. I don't know what's going to happen in the
That's
middle.
against Patrick Corbin. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. I think they're going to beat Patrick Corbin. No one should be afraid of him. He's not good. So, famous last words. He's probably going to, throw a complete game shutout or something. But I think that's going to happen. This is not the only playoff baseball, guys, that we can talk about. AAA Omaha finished the year 40-35 in the second half, 89-59 overall. Lost the opening game on Tuesday against Columbus in the IL Championship Game 1, 3-2. They tried to come back in the ninth inning, could not complete it. They're going to play Wednesday. So as you're listening to this podcast, getting ready for some playoff ball for the Royals, also tune into AAA and Drew Waters, who's been on fire, the IL Player of the Week, 565 batting average at the time of that award, 7 extra base hits, 6 RBIs. Doesn't change anyone's opinion of him. I don't think on the show we have kind of had that.
I think we've made
sail.
that clear.
Yeah, the ship probably is sailed there.
Tonight.
Yeah, so kind of how it goes. And they'll need a better effort on Wednesday if they're gonna beat a talented Columbus team, man. And that kind of trickles back up to the big league affiliates. It'd be bragging rights to say, hey, you blew a 1-0 lead in the IL Championship 3-game series. I guess
It matters.
Yeah, playoff ball there. Tyson Guerrero back or sent to the development list. Javier Vaz activated from the development list. So that's it for minor leagues. Kind of a slow, no news episode because everyone's done. Sorry, guys. We didn't even have a chance to neglect it this time. We just didn't have anything to talk about.
Carter Jensen is still that guy. I'm going to say it. I can't not say it. So Carter Jensen, top 100 candidate.
Do we have toast game this time after a 1-5 week?
Carter Jensen.
Okay.
I'm just going to send a toast game. Today was my son's 4th birthday, so shout out my son Ezra, and
what a guy.
Happy birthday, buddy.
Yeah.
He's not going to listen to this, but I'm just going to give him a happy birthday anyway.
Love it. I'm going to do a toast game shout out to Nick Springer behind the scenes for producing the show and for everybody tuning in. I'm very grateful for the help, for the support. We're going to be back next Tuesday. We might be back before that if the Royals clinch. Who knows? We might have a little something up our sleeve. Not a promise, but a hopeful, optimistic take. So we will talk next time. Hopefully good news for the sake of you guys and for the sake of everyone on the show. Thanks for tuning in. Take care. Stay safe. We'll talk to you next time.